One wrong answer on the side of the road can turn a normal stop into a fishing trip through your car, your bag, and maybe your whole night. Pause. And if you think being polite means saying yes, you could be giving away one of your strongest rights without even knowing it. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed yet? If not, fix that right now, because this channel is built to help regular people stay calm, stay smart, and stay out of legal trouble. If you carry, hunt, keep a home defense gun, or just care about your rights, hit subscribe now. The people who wait until after a bad stop usually say the same thing. I wish I knew this sooner. I do not want that to be you. So let's get straight to it. If an officer asks, "Do you consent to a search?" the two words I want you to remember are, no consent. That's it. No consent. Not, I guess so. Not, I don't have anything to hide. Not, sure, go ahead. And not nervous laughter while you hand over the bag yourself. Just two clear words. No consent. Now, let me explain why those two words matter so much. First thing, police do not usually ask for consent because it helps you. They ask because it helps them. If you say yes, you may have just made their job a whole lot easier. They may not need a warrant. They may not need stronger facts. They may not need much of anything else from you in that moment. Your permission can do the heavy lifting. Most people think, well, if I'm innocent, why not let them search? Sounds reasonable, right? But that is exactly where good people get into bad situations. Because searches do not only find crimes. They find confusion. They find misunderstandings. They find old items you forgot were there. They find your friend's stuff. They find things that look suspicious but are not. And once that search starts, you do not control where it goes. Imagine you're at a traffic stop. Your heart is beating fast. The lights are flashing. The officer has already asked where you're going, where you're coming from, and whether you have anything illegal in the car. Then comes the question, you don't mind if I take a quick look, do you? That word quick is doing a lot of work. Because quick can turn into 10 minutes, 10 minutes can turn into 30, and 30 minutes can turn into handcuffs, a tow truck, and a courtroom. Here's the part most people get wrong. They think consent has to sound formal. It does not. In real life, consent can come from simple words, nervous jokes, shrugging, stepping aside, opening a door, handing over keys, or saying something like, I guess. That is why your answer must be short and clear. No consent. Those two words are not magic. They do not stop every search. If police have another legal reason to search, they may do it anyway. But your clear refusal matters. It protects the record. It shows you did not agree. It makes your position plain. And if the legality of that search gets reviewed later, your words can matter a lot. But here's the crazy part. Many people ruin that protection right after they use it. They say, no consent, and then they keep talking. They start explaining. They start defending themselves. They start trying to sound helpful. That is a mistake. After you say no consent, the goal is not to win a roadside debate. The goal is to stay calm, stay respectful, and stop volunteering information. You're not there to talk the officer out of suspicion. You're there to avoid giving away rights. So if the officer asks again, you can calmly repeat it. No consent. If needed, you can make it a little fuller and still simple. I do not consent to any searches. That longer version is fine, but the core message stays the same: clear, calm, respectful. And let me say this because it matters. Do not get physical. Do not pull away. Do not grab your stuff. Do not block the officer. Refusing consent is verbal. It is not physical resistance. If a search happens anyway, you do not fight it on the street. You fight it in court with a lawyer later. That difference can save you from making a bad moment much worse. If this is helping you, my next video will go even deeper into the exact words that can protect you during police questioning. Subscribe now so you do not miss it, because knowing what not to say can matter just as much as knowing what to say. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Saying no consent is only step one. Step two is what you do right after. Here is the simple play. Keep your hands where they can be seen. Stay polite. Do not make sudden moves. Do not get sarcastic. Do not try to act like a courtroom lawyer on the shoulder of the highway. Just stay steady. If you are driving, give the basic documents required in your state. If your state requires you to tell the officer that you are carrying a firearm, do that calmly and follow the law in your state. But understand this very clearly. Telling an officer about a lawfully carried firearm if your state requires it is not the same thing as consenting to a search. Those are two different things. Do not let them blend together in your mind. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Let's say you're pulled over for a broken taillight. You legally have a handgun on your hip or locked in the vehicle, depending on your state law. The officer asks if you have any weapons. You answer as required by law. So far, so good. Then the officer says, "Okay, for everyone's safety, do you mind if I look in the vehicle?" A lot of people hear the word safety and feel trapped. They think saying no will make them look dangerous. That is exactly the pressure point. But the smart answer is still calm and simple. No consent. You're not being rude. You're not admitting guilt. You're not picking a fight. You're simply not giving permission. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Let me break this down even more. There are 3 big mistakes people make after they refuse consent. First, they start filling the silence. Silence makes people uncomfortable. So they talk. They say things like, "You can search if you want. I just don't want any problems." That sentence is a disaster. Why? Because you may think you refused, but the second half sounds like permission. Courts and police reports can turn muddy language into claimed consent very fast. Second, they try to be clever. They say, "Only the front seat," or "just the trunk," or "You can look, but don't touch anything." That sounds controlled, but it opens the door. Partial consent is still consent. If you do not want to search, do not negotiate the size of the search. Refuse it. Third, they mistake politeness for surrender. You can be respectful without giving up your rights. In fact, the best way to handle this is respectful firmness. Calm voice, no attitude, no long speech, just no consent. But wait, there is something even more important. Police may still search even after you refuse. This is the part that shocks people. They think refusal ends the issue. It does not always. If an officer claims another legal reason, the search may happen anyway. That can include things like an arrest, something in plain view, a safety frisk in some situations, probable cause, or other exceptions recognized by law. The key point is this: your refusal does not guarantee the search stops. Your refusal makes clear that you did not authorize it. That matters more than most people realize. Because later, there's a huge difference between "he searched me after I said no" and "he searched me after I said yes." One of those keeps your rights alive. The other one may bury them. So what should you say if the officer keeps pushing? Keep it simple. No consent. If the stop keeps going and you are not sure whether you're free to leave, you can ask, "Am I free to go?" That is a clean question. If the answer is no, then stop talking unless you need to comply with lawful commands or basic legal duties in your state. If the answer is yes, leave calmly. And remember this: a roadside stop is not the place to prove how innocent you are. It is the place to avoid making your life harder. Hey, most people watching right now are not subscribed. Do not be part of that group. Join the people who come here to learn the rules before they need them, not after. Click subscribe and stay ahead of the next legal trap. Let's talk about the part nobody is talking about enough. Your body language and your stuff can speak for you, even when your mouth says no. Have you ever seen someone say, "I do not consent," and then immediately unlock the car, open the center console, and start moving bags around? That sends a terrible message. It creates confusion. It can look like cooperation. It can look like permission. So once you refuse consent, stop helping the search happen. Do not open containers for the officer unless you're complying with a lawful order and making clear that you do not consent. Do not hand over your backpack to clear things up. Do not say, "There is nothing in there, see?" That is how people accidentally turn refusal into cooperation. Here's another hypothetical example. You are the passenger, not the driver. The officer wants to search the car. The driver says yes right away because he wants to look helpful. But you have a personal bag on the floorboard. This is where it gets tricky. Do not assume someone else will protect your rights for you. If the bag is yours, say clearly, "That bag is mine, and I do not consent to any search of it." Short, direct, calm. Now, real life can get messy. Maybe the officer searches anyway. Maybe the officer says the driver gave permission. Maybe the officer says your bag was in the car, so it is all getting searched. The street is not the place to untangle every legal issue, but making your position clear still matters. You're building a record. You're making it harder for anyone to say later that you agreed. The same principle matters at home. If police show up and ask, "Mind if we come in for a minute?" understand what that can mean. Many people think they are only being polite, but stepping aside and waving them in can become consent. So if you do not want officers entering your home without a warrant, do not drift into passive permission. Be respectful, but be clear. If you do not consent, say so. And here is what most people miss. Once officers are lawfully inside, they may see more, ask more, and expand the encounter. That is why the first answer matters so much. Now let me give you the safest mindset. Your goal is not to outsmart the police. Your goal is to avoid helping a search you do not want. Your goal is to stay within the law, avoid sudden moves, avoid angry words, and avoid volunteering your rights away. So the script in your head should sound like this: be calm, be respectful, say no consent, stop talking, do not physically interfere, ask if you are free to go, then call a lawyer if things go sideways. That is the whole game plan. And yes, I know what some people are thinking. But if I say no, won't I look guilty? Maybe, maybe not. But looking guilty and giving away your rights are not the same thing. People worry too much about seeming suspicious and not enough about what happens after they open the door to a search. The truth is simple. Innocent people have rights too. Lawful gun owners have rights too. Quiet people have rights. Nervous people have rights. And you do not lose those rights because an officer asks, in a polite voice. Laws change fast, and court rulings can shift. Subscribe now so you do not get caught off guard by the next update, because the next video will show you the exact words to use when an officer starts asking questions that sound casual but are anything but casual. So here's the takeaway. If police ask, "Do you consent?" the safest simple reply is, "No consent." Then stay calm, stay respectful, do not argue. Do not physically resist, and do not talk yourself into trouble. I want you to remember one thing the next time stress hits and lights flash in your mirror. You do not need a perfect speech. You do not need courtroom words. You need 2 clear words that protect your position when the pressure is on. If this video gave you something useful, subscribe right now and share it with one person you care about. A friend, a spouse, an adult child, your hunting buddy, anybody. Because the worst time to learn this is after a bad stop. And final simple disclaimer, I am not your lawyer. This is not personal legal advice, and laws can be different depending on your state and your facts. If you are dealing with a real case, talk to a qualified attorney as soon as you can. C. 2026. Script Scene Splitter. AI GitHub.